Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Ready, Aim, Retire, the show where we focus on managing your wealth, growing your legacy, and everything retirement centric. And today we're back with the OGs. It's just myself and Tony Shore. Tony, how are we doing today?
We're doing great. And this has nothing to do with politics, but right now I've got you on the right and I'm on the left of the YouTube screen for our viewers, but we're going to switch it and see what looks better. There you
I
go.
like that.
That's
Okay.
better. That's better. That was bothering me.
Okay,
that was actually bothering me. For
Well,
our podcast listeners, our audio only listeners, you don't need to worry about it. But if you do watch the show on YouTube, I want to remind everyone that the camera adds 100 pounds. If you're looking at my picture on YouTube, the camera does add 100 pounds. I look much better in person. Rob knows.
I think you look great now, Tony. But you have been down here. You look fantastic in person. We'll have to get. Tony and I were just talking off air. We're gonna have to get Tony to one of our client events.
Yes, I want to.
I didn't know he did client events up until our off air thing, and it sounds like you need a guy like Tony there. He will spice up anything we're doing. We think it's great. Tony can bring it to the next level. So we're definitely going to have clients.
Yeah, I mean, you have these portfolio managers come in and ramble about the markets. We need a little, levity in between there, a little excitement.
Yeah, we do.
Right?
A little comic relief in there sometimes.
Yeah. I would happily do one of your client events, Rob. Plus, I love where you live. I love everything about it. So,
well, we're going to get you out here. That's my promise to you, Tony. I didn't know that was an option. So, you don't take anything. You're just learning every day. So we're definitely gonna get Tony out. We've done this. We've done the podcast obviously for years, but the YouTube starting this year, it's been a great year doing it. So kind of learning experience, and it's been fantastic, and got a lot of good feedback on it, like a ton of good feedback. So it's good stuff.
It is really good. Now, let's talk about our topic for today. I think you've got a great one for us.
I do. You know what? The topic is called "Who Can You Trust? Finding a Financial Partner." And the reason we're doing this today is so, Tony, over the last several weeks, I've done several enhanced planning workshops at the local library, and I haven't done these, for years. Like I did a lot of Social Security and, taught a class at COD and did all these things. So, but it's been years since I've actually had a topic that I was like, you know what, this is a pretty good topic. So I've been speaking about it. But as people come in and, come in to review with me, that's the number one question. I had a girl yesterday. Well, who can I trust in all this stuff? So I figured, you know what? No one knows how the different relationships work when you're trying to find somebody. It's hard. Like the first step, even calling somebody and going in, is daunting, And so today I want to talk about. There's basically 3 relationships, and maybe I'm going to talk about even a hybrid that someone out there can go and find the advice that they want. And there's nothing right or wrong with any of these. What I just want to point out is what they are.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's really good. A lot of people have that question. It's like, okay, people call themselves financial planners, there's stockbrokers, there's an insurance agent, there's attorneys, there's tax people. Who can I trust to actually manage my money and make sure I'm on the right path, right?
For sure. And depending on who you go for your financial advice is in turn going to give you a different kind of advice. So everyone that I'm going to go through, depending on the industry they're in and how their licenses are, you're going to get a different kind of advice based on who you walk through the door. So what I want to just implore people to do is find out what advice you're looking for. None of these, like I said, none of them is right or wrong, but understand the differences and find out what's best for you, for your family, for your retirement, for your legacy, and then partner, find somebody like that to partner with.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you're right. And such an important piece of it is legacy planning, estate planning. That's got to be a big part of it, along with retirement planning and financial planning, right?
Right, for sure. Like all of those pieces come together. Like when you're talking about legacy planning, and I've said this on the show many times, when someone first comes into me, very little interest. I'm going to say 90% of the people, very little interest in legacy planning. They've saved their money for retirement. They want to make sure their income is taken care of first. They want to make sure we've saved this money. What can it do for us? After several years go by, one of the kids has a grandkid. And generally, people, I always say, like their grandkids more than their own kids, and then all of a sudden, legacy becomes, we should be talking about this, so it's an evolution, just like life is, so, people generally don't start off like that, but they all, most of them finish it like that, so again, the legacy planning, depending on what relationship you have is going to be an important one for down the road.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and so who can you trust with legacy planning? I think it starts with having an overall financial advisor who's going to look at the big picture, right?
For sure, for sure. And let's break down one by one
Okay.
what these relationships do. And you're right, and that's a great question. And we'll let's get into that. So
Okay.
first one I would say, Tony, is you can have a relationship with an insurance only agent. So an insurance only agent, you have to first understand in each one of these relationships how the person is compensated, because that's key. Everyone knows money drives decisions, right? So an insurance only agent is gets commissions based on product transactions. So they generally sell things like life insurance and annuities, products that that I would argue most people should have. Like not everybody. We can't paint the world with the same brush, but a lot of people, those are good planning tools when you're looking at an overall picture. But I ask myself, if you can only do the life insurance and annuities, are you really looking at their full financial picture? The agent in these cases works for insurance carriers who provide him commissions. So when you look at, okay, who's he or she, where are they most loyal to? Is it the client? Well, the client's not paying them anything. So they're looking for the insurance carriers that are paying them, so they might have a favorite. They might lean into one way. They might get trips out of these kinds of things. Whatever the case may be, you have to look at the compensation and where kind of follow the money, right?
Sure. So, in other words, an insurance only agent might look at which annuity is going to make me the most commission, and I'll pitch that annuity, even though it doesn't necessarily fit that person or that couple's situation. A type of annuity would be much better for their situation, or maybe no annuity at all.
Right.
But he's pitching this one over here because of the commission he'll make from that one versus something
Right.
else,
Right.
right?
And yeah. And a lot of them, like, a lot of the commission. So a lot of them will have, like, their top few companies that they like, and they might get other stuff. They might get a trip somewhere. They might get, these different kinds of incentives that are built into it. And again, like I said in the beginning, life insurance and annuities, they're good planning tools. So there's nothing wrong with them. It's just like you have to look at the source to say, is that relationship, and a lot of people deal with just insurance agent only, Tony, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of their thing. They like, that road to travel, and that's fine. But just understand that's how you get your advice when you're dealing with an insurance only agent.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. The next one that we'll talk about is the banker slash broker. So a banker slash broker, they can get commissions based on product transactions. So it's more in the market kind of things. And they do annuities and things like that too. And the thing I always look at with this, Tony, so, and I'm not even gonna mention a bank, but we all know the banks out there. So all the
Yeah.
banks out there are all the brokerage houses, all the ones that hold money. So if I'm working for them and you come in my office and I have to recommend products and services or whatever I have, if they're signing my paycheck, Tony, who who am I more aligned with, or who am I more partnered with? Is it the client sitting across my table that we're trying to develop a plan for, or is it the person signing my check, putting into my 401k, giving me my benefits? And if they say, Rob, today we're selling XYZ, and this is, these are the funds we're putting people in, and Make sure that these are the
We're
ones.
going to give you a bonus if you sell these. We got
These
a trip and a bonus if you sell more of these than any other salesman, more of this particular product. So that big box, if you work for one big box company who has their own insurance products, they're going to be pushing their own products whether they're best for you or not. Is what you're saying.
100%. And like, do you remember that? Do you remember that Wells Fargo fiasco a few years ago?
Oh,
When because of an inside incentive, they were opening accounts and other, separate accounts with clients, just to get this bonus from opening up a certain number of accounts. Like,
yeah.
They don't care. In that case, they don't care one iota about the client. They got sued, terribly
In
because
fact, they didn't ask the client. They just open
they
accounts
just
in
opened the
clients' name,
right,
in clients' names
because those
because
guys are
there was
working for Wells
incentive.
Fargo.
Yeah.
Wells Fargo was doing some sort of incentive contest, so they follow along. So yeah, they did. You're right. They didn't ask anybody. They certainly didn't ask the client, and clients just kind of found out that they had this other account. Like they didn't even. Nothing was ever disclosed, and they got obviously in a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah.
And when you look at those situations, and when you're looking for like a financial partner, again, if you're fine with like, I like going down to my local bank and they're good people. They probably are great people. I have lots of friends that work in the banking industry, the brokerage industry, and they're great people, But from your perspective, clients, when you're sitting out there, you have to understand that relationship, may not always be in your best interest. They may say they're in your best interest, but look who signs their check. At the end of the day, just like the insurance agent, look where the money is coming from. And when you look where the money is coming from, you might have a better idea of like, wait a second, are these the best funds for me? Is this the best, if they have an annuity, this is the best annuity for me? Are these the best things available in the entire spectrum of products available?
Right.
Or it's just available in my local bank or my brokerage house, whoever that may be, right? So that's another one, Tony, that and that one is one where I see that probably more often than anything, than, the insurance only agent, kind of a dying breed. There's the regulations are getting stiffer and stiffer, in that, just being the insurance only, without having any other option for somebody, so you definitely have to have options. You look at the banker and the broker, those are probably more of the people that I see coming in my office. And when people come into our office, what we do is we do a fiduciary review of their accounts. So we're able to show them, Tony, apples to apples. And I always say to people, I go, just bring the stuff in. I go, like, we're just going to show you what you got. And this is what you have. This is the difference. And people's eyes generally go up as big as saucers because they don't realize kind of, the risk, the return, the fees that are coming out of these accounts. And why do they all start with the same name? Why does every fund I have start with, example, American funds? Well, American funds, there's thousands and thousands of funds. Why do I have 15 and they all say American funds out of all the thousands of funds available? And these are the things you have to look at. And that's why we always do that complimentary fiduciary review for people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to reiterate to our listeners and viewers out there, Rob, what you just said, and that's you're just going to run a report that shows what they have, right? And breaks it down for them. And then they can look at it and say, okay, and you can say, hey, based on where you're at here, we could really help you in this and this. And based on your goals and what we know about you, this would be much better off, or you're making a costly mistake here. And if they choose to work with you moving forward, great. If they don't, they're not out anything except their time to come in and get their questions answered to see where they're at. Get that second opinion. It's huge, isn't it?
It really is. And you're right, Tony. I'm a fiduciary, so we can't, we have to act in the best interest of our clients. So we just give the information. And I always believe that power is information. If you have the information that we can make available to you that you don't see on your own, and then we'll give you an option. Obviously, if you're coming in, we would love to work with you, and but we want to show you why. And maybe that's the biggest difference. And again, nothing against the brokerage houses, the banks, nothing against them whatsoever. What we want to do today is just tell people or show people what the different relationships are. So we went through the insurance agent, we went through the banker and the broker, and the last one, or actually the second last one, because I have a hybrid at the end. But the second last one is an investment advisor representative. And that's what we are. So we're fee based on the amount of assets we manage. So the amount of money we manage, there's a fee involved in that, right? Like they are kind of with most firms. But we're fiduciaries required to act in the best interest of the clients. So we develop a comprehensive, all-encompassing plan for all aspects of retirement. So it can't just be the annuity or the life insurance that you get from the insurance guy. It can't just be a bunch of funds from the bank or brokerage. It has to be everything. We have to be able to see everything. We have relationships so our clients can use CPAs, estate planning attorneys, everything involved when we look at all the pieces to your puzzle in retirement and legacy. They all kind of have to come in. And working with a fiduciary, and not just us, folks, any fiduciary out there. Now, I'll tell you, Tony, fiduciary has become a marketing tool over the past, few years. Everything you see on TV, we're fiduciaries, required to act in the best interest. I've been a fiduciary since 2012, well over a decade,
Right.
well before it was a marketing tool, well before you saw the advertisements. And the reason I chose to be a fiduciary in the beginning is because that's the right way to do things. At the end of the day, I looked at all the different relationships and I decided, you know what? No, like why? Like people think that the person is acting in their best interest. But if you're required, if you go through and pass the test and do all the stuff and become a fiduciary, that's what we wanted to do. And that's what in the end of the day, that's what I think everyone should be. But whether
And your decisions and choices and things you help your clients do and where you help them put their money is audited. I mean, they will come in and audit your decisions. You have to save the correspondence with your clients. You have to show them what you're doing with their money, where it's being managed, what third-party custodian is holding their money, and, is it being actively managed? Are all the choices you're helping them make in their best interest? Right. And you would do that anyway, but you're actually held to that standard. It's not like you just have to go through and pass a test and get that certification and then you're done. No, you're held to that standard. So I think that's a big question. Are you a fiduciary? But even so, there are fiduciaries out there who, are just get it to use as a marketing tool, but you really believe that. And you look at somebody's overall picture and say, this is what I'm going to do, what's in your best interest, not mine. Right. Not what's going to make me the most money, right?
No, exactly. And you can't look at it like that, right? We look at every client. We look at clients when they come in from the very beginning all the way through. We look at it as part, like I said at the top of the show, they're partners. Like we're partners together. We sit on the same side of the table. We're not sitting on one side trying to sell you something or trying to put you into things that may or may not be good for you. We sit on our side and we're fair and balanced, and where we can kind of look at it and go, what makes sense for where we're trying to go to based on our conversations, based on your current asset level, based on what your journey looks like. And then we put the plan together. And the other thing, Tony, is we pivot. Things change. Life changes. Markets change. So when markets change, our investment strategies should change. We have to change strategies, which we do, when we're meeting with clients. And the other thing, we meet with clients probably minimum twice, a lot of them 3 times a year. And the reason for that is to make sure that we're always doing what's best for the client. If they had a life event, we need to know about it. If something is changing as far as their risk, we need to know about it. So when you're working with a fiduciary, partnering with fiduciary, that's what the relationship, it's a little bit different relationship. And some people don't like that, Tony, because it's, with us anyway, it's more involved. Like we're calling you. We're like, hey, Tony, come on in. Let's talk. And you know what? People that are retired are more busy than people that aren't retired. They're like, oh my gosh, I never knew I don't know how I slid a job in here for 30 years. Like,
right. Yeah. Everyone I talk to, I'm more busy in retirement than I was before I retired. I hear that.
It's hard to get them in. It's hard to get them in. A lot of them like, we're good. Rob's a good guy. We're like, I get that I'm a good guy, but we just want to see you. We want to see, and get a health update. We look at all of that kind of stuff. Right. And we look at the whole family and the dynamics there. And we do like we did a show a few weeks ago on beneficiary reviews and we look at that kind of stuff. So that's what when you're looking at an investment advisor relationship, that's the third one. That's kind of what you're looking for. So if that's your cup of tea, then you go in that direction. But again, if that's not your cup of tea and you're just like, I'd rather just walk into the bank, good, go into the bank as long as you understand kind of how that works, right? Or the insurance agent. Now, I got one more for you, Tony. So here's the bonus relationship. I call it the combo. So this is the combo. This is the one where the person or company is licensed both as a broker and a fiduciary. So they can sell the brokerage commission products and the funds that pay commissions that way, or they can do a fee based model. And I bring that one up because I do run across that. And my question to people or to myself when I run into it is, how do they determine what hat they wear that morning? Like, do they walk in that morning and go, today I'm going to be in a fiduciary, I'm going to act in the best interest of my clients, or today I'm going to be a broker and we're going to go, in this fund direction. So that one to me has always been perplexing, to hold licenses on both sides.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that one. There
Yeah.
are people that do that, huh?
There's a lot of people that do that.
Wow.
So you have it on kind of, you get on both sides. So it's like, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense to me because like either when, I look at it anyway, and this is my personal opinion, but if you're going to be a fiduciary and act in the best interest of the client, you don't need that other license that allows you to put people in fee mutual funds and things like that, because you're in the best interest, so you should be able to find, stuff for them in the best interest of them, not in the best interest of you per se. So yeah, that combo one is not it's one that like a lot of people don't talk about. They just, if you're looking at this, from a 30,000-foot view, it's pretty easy. The insurance agent, the banker, the broker, the investment advisor representative, but the bonus one is that combo pack that I see that a lot too. And I'm always like kind of perplexed with it.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That's probably one to watch out for, but
Mm.
you really have to look at. I'm glad we went over this because a lot of people struggle. Who can I trust?
Right.
But I know you should look for a fiduciary. You should look for somebody with a good track record that's been doing this a long time,
Yep.
like yourself,
Mhm.
who will give references to clients they can talk to who have worked with you for years
Yep.
and been very happy with what you have to offer. I think that's great. Well, Rob, great show. You got to know who you can trust, find a good financial partner,
Yep.
and never be afraid to get a second opinion, right?
Right. If you were sick or you had an ailment come down, you would get a second opinion.
Oh, yeah.
You may be out there sick right now and not even know it financially. So you're best to always get a second opinion. Again, we would prefer it be us, Tony, but if it's somebody, pick a fiduciary, pick somebody, a financial planner that is a fiduciary, get a second opinion. It never hurts. And retirement's a long road. When do you want to find out? You want to find out as soon as possible. Even if you've been retired 5 years or 10 years, you got another 10, hopefully 15, 20 years ahead of you. Find out now. There's no time like the present. So yeah, exactly, Tony. I think, I agree. It's a great show. And it's something that has come up that I thought, you know what? I haven't done a show on this. And I think people need to know kind of these relationships. Like when they're looking, who can I trust? Who do I want to partner with financially, hopefully for the next, 10, 20, 30 years, and provide people that information.
Yeah. And mention the phone number here a couple of times at the end to make sure people who are listening can get that.
100%. So you can go to give us a call. Sorry, 630-780-1099. If you're listening on the podcast, again, 630-780-1099. You can call in, say, I want to schedule a complimentary review. They'll get you all set up and you'll meet with me personally. You can also go to our website, Tony, at apadvisorsgroup.com, and lots of great information there. Again, you can book an appointment right on there too. So it's apadvisorsgroup.com, and that goes right to our calendar.
Awesome. Sounds great, Rob. And thanks for a great show. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Ready, Aim, Retire.